So our speaker for this evening, the first session of BAPMC for 2026, January's session, is Dr. Vivian Magnus. She is a LinkedIn monetization coach, brand strategist, and international influencer with over 2 decades of experience spanning marketing, medicine, and business development. After nearly 20 years in marketing and retail, she transitions from practicing medicine to empowering professionals and entrepreneurs to monetize their expertise. Through a proven roadmap to LinkedIn monetization, she has helped over 100 clients transform raw ideas into profitable businesses within 30 days. Dr. Magnus has trained 5,000 plus professionals, hosted 120 plus transformational programs, and reached 50,000 plus attendees worldwide. As the founder of Phoenix Gates Group, she leads a global community focused on community building, business coaching, and public health innovation. Her mission is to help professionals, founders, and creators build clarity, authority, and strategy to convert visibility into sustainable seven-figure businesses. Please help me welcome our esteemed speaker for this evening, Dr. Vivian Magnus, who is joining us all the way from Nigeria. And it is after midnight for her, and she is up and speaking to us. So we do not take this lightly. We are very appreciative of the fact that you're still awake. So welcome to BAPMC. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I don't know. Can everybody hear me? If you can hear me crystal
Yes.
clear, you might just want to react. Okay, that's very beautiful. Thank you so much. Like she said, maybe I'll start with good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where any of us is joining from. I'm joining from Nigeria and it's midnight, literally, maybe a few minutes past midnight. And then I had to take coffee because it's like I'm almost crossing over. I had to discipline myself in such a way that I always try to sleep before midnight lately. But usually before now, geez, even 2 a.m. I haven't slept because I have lots of things to do. Then, of course, as you get older, you want to avoid a whole lot of that. So I don't want to say thanks again for having me on board. I appreciate you. Today we're going to learn a whole lot. At least I'm so happy that the conversation you started with already asked us some of our goals, and then it was so beautiful to probably have a sneak peek into what some people have in mind. And then everything I'm going to talk about, hopefully we'll be able to jet ourselves out and then come up with some excellent things we'll be doing for this year. It's so beautiful to hear that a lot of us are still going traditional education, and that is excellent. But that is why we're discussing career agility today, because there are a whole lot of things happening in the background. I don't know how many people saw Burley's post today. I hope I pronounced the name very well. I know British, they like removing the T at the end, but I don't know how many people saw that post today. But please, if you haven't, just go and check the Diary of the CEO. Check his LinkedIn post today. I think the last post for today. His last post for today said something that a whole lot of us need to start paying attention. And I think that was why I decided on this topic, because I've realized that a lot of people are not necessarily pivoting. A lot of people are not planning. Okay, so maybe I'll describe a few little things that would help us. If you're currently experiencing any of the things I'll be talking about right now, you can just maybe make a mental note of it as we're coming up with solutions as we break down the topic. Of course, down deep into the slides, you'll be able to find yourself. If you need help at any point in time, just take note of that conversation, and then you can always ask questions. Now, the first thing is most people, especially midlife, right? I don't really like ageism a lot, but I've just realized that there are certain pressure that come with certain age groups. Some people eventually get tired of trying. Some people get overtaken by technology. I mean, guys, we've not even experienced the AI boom, but there are so many tools confusing people up and down. Okay. And then I had already referenced Steve Barley's post today. There was something he said that a lot of the big players, when they gathered together to have a meeting, right? They said something. Even they, I mean, I'm talking Google, I'm talking LinkedIn, nobody really knows the direction that AI will eventually go. But then it doesn't mean that everybody should stop fighting. He even said outrightly for him, he doesn't even know if um it will be necessary to record sessions as a podcaster. That is, I'm talking about the diary of the CEO. But then whatever it is that must happen, that's his why, will certainly come to pair. Now, let me explain this conversation again. A whole lot of us are currently probably rigid in our workplaces. We just know something one way. So maybe I'll give a little background for me so that it can be a little bit home, right? In 2020, full-blown medical. I had become a doctor for the past 3 years. I was enjoying myself. Of course, you know that the medical field has already structured patterns. I mean, you're out of school, you do your house job. It's called house job in Nigeria. Then you do your junior registrar, senior registrar. Then you become a consultant. Then you're able to become a voice for that particular niche, okay, of medicine that you decided in. So for me in 2020, I'd gotten to a point where I just enjoyed myself. I enjoyed what I do. I loved the whole idea of discharging patients. That was my best part about medical practice, right? And then I didn't see myself at any point to be agile. I cannot explain it. I just felt like, okay, once I'm, and it was common. ac- Like I said, project management can be very flexible because there are lots of niches around. But for medicine, we are the most rigid. In fact, healthcare up to now, I'm not sure of the future of healthcare as regards to AI, right? Of course, there are certain parts of medicine that will be replaced in the speed of I mean, in the twinkle of an eye, we're talking about radiography and a few other parts, but I'm talking like medical practice right now. It's always very rigid. You start this, you do this, do this, do this. And then here I was in 2020. I didn't even imagine that there will be a time when I will experience any form of, what's the word now? Any form of maybe the word should be block or blockade or exhaustion or pressure from other people. So I'm saying this now because there are certain people who are currently in this life and they're probably listening in. Some of their challenges will be that they are generally just burnt out. Either the money is not flowing consistently, or they're just burnt out, or they're exhausted, or the whole pressure. I think one of the biggest pressure I had to call myself to order was I just kept hearing AI would take your job. I mean, I'll turn here, AI would take your job. I'm like, God, what is going on? Okay, so I started asking myself, I mean, I enjoy coaching, I enjoy teaching people, I enjoy seeing results. I enjoy working one-on-one with people to get results. And then everybody keeps saying AI will take your job. So that means there are likely going to be tools that would actually do some of the things that I do. Of course, they can't take away the empathy, the human experience, but AI, trust me, is getting super fine-tuned. So, but in 2020, I didn't see myself as somebody who will get to any point where my everything I had planned for myself will not be rigid. That's because medicine itself was rigid. Then I got married. That was when all the drama started. And then, of course, you won't marry outside the people you already know. You're going to marry people that you know. And then my husband was a consultant. Yikes! And then he's a surgeon again. Double X. So it meant that he hardly would come home as often, especially here. I'm sure we know the ratio of patient to let's say patient to doctor ratio in Nigeria. It's crazy. I think if the average is 1 to 600, in Nigeria it's probably up to 20,000. So it meant that when a doctor is in practice, of course you won't really close at time T. Let's say you have a close, you don't really have a closing time. It means you have to see at least certain sets of patients, level of patients, which can be so much. I remember seeing almost 80, right, during my practice before I had to pivot, right? But then this is it. And I'm talking about 80 in a day, by the way. Okay. So, but then this is it. I now got super busy and then I got married and my husband is a surgeon. So that means this was where I hit my own rock. But for some people's rock bottom might just be emotional exhaustion. I mean, they can just be worried. Some people can just be that they they don't feel like, or they were fired. Yes, some people's roadblocks might be getting fired or probably just lack of fulfillment in a particular job. But for me, it was marriage. And then when I moved to a new city, all my support systems literally just went off the hook. So it meant that I had to build afresh. And I told myself, well, if I'm going to work at the hospital, that means I'm going to spend a whole lot of time there, and then we wouldn't have anyone to take care of our kids. And so that was where my journey into career agility started. So I decided, okay, what were my low-hanging fruits? So I've already started talking. Now this is the main conversations, right? I just asked myself, what were my low-hanging fruits? Okay, I was born into a family of men and women who really worked for any establishment for as long as I can remember. From my elder ones, my parents. In fact, all my life, I've never seen my parents like have their bats and work, go to work. No, they were deep head neck deep into businesses. So it meant that somehow, even if I wasn't paying attention, some exchange was value, customer relations, because my parents made us show up at work, show up to their shops every single day. That was freaking annoying as a child, but looking back, every virtue that I have gotten so far came literally almost, and then part of the things I practice literally came from those basics that came from that trading, human relationship, the psychology of sales, every single thing. But now I'm already saying it now because a whole lot of people are going to be starting their businesses now or doing other things that might be extra into earning money. Career agility is one place that all of us should literally pay attention to. And I'm saying this because some of the things we're doing now might not hold so much water in 2030, 2035, 2050. And that is why we must have a mindset that is ready to pivot at time T. Okay, at time T. So I'm going to just go quickly through my slides. Okay, so I've talked about my story. I've just said outrightly, if you're somebody who is currently experiencing stress at your workplace, any form of exhaustion, or you're emotionally drained or burnt out, or you keep hearing conversation, AI will replace you and all that, and you're already becoming anxious, this is probably the best place you would be today in the next few minutes. Once we're done discussing, I can assure you that you have a new outlook at your career or your job or your business, as the case may be. And then I'll also help you come from your low-hanging fruit. That's what I normally would call it, or that thing that you've done very well for the longest. We can convert project management to business, at least for this season. Of course, I'm just hoping that everybody's already paying attention to the AI version of everything they're doing because, like I said, before there will be a peak, right? A whole lot of people will have to use it. So the best way to leverage on AI is to make sure that you're already conversant with those tools because what will happen is that first off, you will make money by increasing your efficiency with AI before it becomes a general use. Because in the end, I'm looking at um 2050, AI might just be like another Facebook in quotes because now everybody can use it for themselves. And sincerely, every time I try to meditate on that, I don't know how it's gonna be because literally knowledge will now be everywhere. So it will just be basically be people who are probably maybe organizations, soft skills will eventually lead. That's what I believe. Right, soft skills will eventually lead. Sorry about that. Okay, so I talked about my story ahead of time. So this was where my journey started for my agility. But I know for some of us, it might just be despairing, toxic workplace. You just have been pushed because now you can't stay where you thought was safe for you. But for me, motherhood was just that place that I found myself, almost stuck because, of course, medicine will require more than you just handling your child together with medicine. But another thing is, if you're lucky enough and your husband is probably has nothing to do with the practice, or you have other things, or you have a support system that allowed you to head straight into your career, it's still very good. But that is why I also introduced AI in the introduction, because right now a lot of jobs will go obsolete. I think as of the last time we were probably talking about it, I think literally almost 70 million jobs were lost in the last 5 years because of AI. Even though everyone is saying that, okay, by 2030, 2035, there will be like 170 million more jobs, new job roles. That is what they are saying. But then we already know that we already have the loss at hand. So it's the 70 million people that have lost their jobs that we're more worried about. So it means that wherever you are right now, whether businesses, whether you're trying to start a business, or right? Either you're trying to start a business right now, or your whatever niche you're representing, or whatever aspect of your business you're currently monetizing, make sure that you have systems of leverage. And that's why I talked a little bit about AI when it comes to, in fact, of course, the best place to discuss AI is when talking about career agility, because like we said again, some jobs would definitely be obsolete in the next few years. And then the question will be, what are the things that you're doing currently that is going to keep you relevant for the longest? Okay, so basically, what is career agility? It's simple. Your ability to adopt, your ability to pay attention to skills that are not so structured, your ability to go on, I mean, to keep on despite, um, roadblocks. And that's what I did. I could have just resulted to becoming a housewife and say, oh, I can't practice medicine, and that's it. But the best thing that can happen to you is actually to pick up one or two or three or four more skills that is already accrued to you and move. So that is what essentially we're discussing about. So like I said, based on our conversations, the best way to navigate your career or an opportunity, usually, of course, because we know that some people who probably are on this life have lost their jobs at one point, the best thing to do is to anticipate it. And that's everything I'm talking about. I started with talking about a little bit about AI, and it's simple. We don't know how far these things are going to go, because right now, funding goes to AI. Like literally 40% of 50% of VC funding is straight to AI. Literally, it's a bloodbath. Literal bloodbath. Everywhere, everyone is trying to fund one AI product or the other. So it means that truly there will be solutions that might be devoid of men. So it means that people who literally position themselves way ahead of the saturation or the peak would eventually do well. You might just make money very fast with some of the knowledge you get. And for me, that's what I do. Literally almost every day, I'm learning one tool or the other to enhance my coaching, to enhance my business, to enhance the businesses of most of my clients. It's simple, because you don't wait to be taken over. You literally plan your way into the threshold, wherever it is. We don't know. People said it's going to crash. Well, let's see. But I'm sure people expected Facebook to be crashed out by now, and then a few other companies. But then you never know how evolutions will happen, and that's why you need to prepare. So I developed a little acronym for Agile, so that maybe it can be something that everybody will consistently remember when thinking of agility and what they can be doing with themselves as challenges come at any point in their careers. Always anticipate it. Always. I don't know. Anytime I think of career agility, and that's why I used this particular photo, everything about career rigidity is feminine. And it was also said that literally 40% of women are in the workforce, while literally 90.6% of men are in the workforce. And when a study was done, and it was shown simply that most women are very rigid when it comes to what they think career success is, even both in their workplace as well as in leadership positions. In fact, leadership, the leadership positions, we barely have very few women representing there. But then it's simple. It was said that most men easily adapt quickly to other opportunities. Men literally seek and anticipate opportunities compared to women. Women are a bit slow when it comes to transforming or or anticipating crisis. They just want to believe that, oh, I spend this certain amount of time in this field, or I take these certain exams, that, and then everything is going to be figured out. And I'm saying again, it might not work out that way. That is why you must anticipate. Well, like I said again, there's nothing that will um, maybe anxious if you want, or gets you a little more in that place where you are anticipating more than AI. I don't know. I got to a point where I stopped thinking about it. But then if you really want to stay ahead of the curve, then you must anticipate. You must pay attention to tools that are coming in. You must pay attention to tools specific for your niche and what is currently going on. And then you can actually stay ahead of the curve. Who says that you shouldn't own some of those companies? I'm still saying it now because some people who are thinking of starting businesses probably consider this a suggestion from me, right? Make sure that you look, for me, I tell my community members, first off, find the technological aspect of what you do and make sure that every invention come from that end. Don't, if you're going to start businesses now, I know brick and mortar is very good. I know e-commerce is very good, but as much as possible, think of the tech side of what you do. That's number one. Then number two, I would also say that, like I said earlier, there are lots of VC fundings for AI right now. I mean, whooping 50%. So it means that AI products are having more tractions. So also, if you're looking to found or have a startup, you might want to think in that direction as well. So anticipate. So if you anticipate, you're likely going to be ahead of the curve. In fact, most of today, I was just meditating as regards my niche. What are the things, what are the problems people have? What is a possible tool that I could use to solve them? We're going to get to there. Of course, we're going to get to that point when we start talking monetization. I am just trying to probably prepare us on the reason why we must think or believe for other channels, right, of finances or making money. This is simply because a lot of the traditional systems will be shaking soon, literally shaking soon. And then, of course, we know that here is a project management institute. So I know that most of us would have been used to or are used to the rigid systems, even if we work contractually or freelancing. Imagine if a company gets hold of a tool that helps them run projects without having to have a a project manager on board. It will already affect you. But then the question is, why do you want to wait for that? Wouldn't you want to be a part of the people who will be funded or giving grants to probably release products like that? Like I said, we are just still anticipating. So I'm hoping that you're already writing down some of your thoughts so that when opportunities come for you to release something or curate something, you'd also find yourself literally right before the plateau of the whole AI conversations. Okay, sorry, give me. Okay, so we started with A, anticipate. Then the next will be to grow, right? Grow. Mm. Before now, most of our conversations has been, oh, I'm going to be promoted. When I write these exams, I'm going to be promoted. And most of our generations, I'm talking about millennials to late bloomers, generation up or generation X, everything, are more concerned about rules. They're concerned about promotion, certificates. But the move has really begun, right? The main direction right now is direction towards skill rather than certifications or titles. So you find a whole lot of people roped around titles instead of um curating themselves or aligning themselves around a problem they solve with the highest of efficiency. So that is why every single person under my voice has to make plans of growing specifically to adjust to a lot of possible rules. So, and then one of the things I also noticed, I think there was statistics of firing, like most of the people that were fired in this season, I mean, those number of persons, 70 million jobs, that people that lost their job, most of them were in the older generation, and they were senior execs, executive positions. So it meant that, oh, they now figured out that some of the things that they are getting consultants to come in to do, they could actually prompt AI with the consultants' materials that are probably all over the internet. And then, so why would I have to have you on board? And so it's a bloodbath. So even if we're talking about 170 million jobs that are going to be available soon, it simply means that it's not just going to be 170 million top professionals being hired. It's going to be 170 million evolving and pivoting and growing professionals that will eventually fill up some of these positions. So please, I would want us to also pay attention to that. So growth over titles, and then pay attention to your transferable capabilities. I call that the low-hanging fruit. So for me, of course, it didn't make sense. I can't practice medicine online because I have to be board certified for all the states that I would want to practice. And then when I showed up in the freelancing, what I had in mind was I wanted to practice internationally, but no, I mean, it's not even allowed, right? You have to be certified for, board certified for the states in the country. Of course, there are different levels of certifications that you need to have. So I knew that that's not going to work. Okay. So now the question is, what are your low hanging fruits? So if I were a project manager, how many tools can I grow in? How many tools can I put myself on a diet for? Where are the institutions, like this institution, of course, that teaches project management? What are the things that I need to learn? That's how you start stacking up skills, and then stacking up skills that are aligned to a high grade problem. No problem, we'll get to that point. So this is me also just giving background. As soon as we're done with agility, we'll start talking monetization proper. The career agility part of this discussion is just to tell you, just in case a whole lot of us have not really been thinking, we probably just feel like some of our job roles are permanent. Right now, we're talking about for those of us who are probably virtual assistants, there are in fact, there are automated call trained machines, or AI, let me agentic AI agents. Yes, let's use that word. And then there are a whole lot of things. People are getting, people are not sleeping. That's the word, right? In Nigeria. In Nigeria, it's called, some people will call it, people are not smiling. But I'm saying people are not sleeping. That's because a lot of people are going to town when it comes to invention. And trust me, it's going to deepen. The functions of AI is going to be very refined very soon. And then you don't want to have yourself in that place where literally everything you have been building long term becomes obsolete. Okay. Okay. So we've talked about grow. So please pay attention to your skills and tack what's the word? Stack them appropriately. Stack, that's STACK. Stack your skills appropriately. Don't just have certificates mindlessly because you just want to have them, or because you just want to read and pass an exam. You make sure that whatever it is that you're getting certified in, like I would say again, find the tech aspect, not just the tech now, because a lot of things are moved. There are some tools that might not be as efficient as AI. Yes, there are some tools that are they are not probably that will not give very good efficiency. So you need to have your researching cap very very on your head, right? If there's any word like that. Then the next thing is to iterate. So we just talked about our, what's the word, growing, and now we talked about anticipate. So agile, exactly, we're using AGIL. We talked about anticipate, we talked about growth, then now we're talking about iterating. So you have to try out a whole lot of things. So for people who are looking to start their businesses, I've seen a whole lot of people on LinkedIn talking about how that they just quit and then they walked away and then they started their businesses and now they're making eight figures. It might not be the same story for everyone. Well, for me, because I had my husband, in quotes, as the financial support system, I could literally go head on into LinkedIn. But for some of us, it might not be some of the things that we might do. For some of us, the first step we might want to do is to optimize, right? Optimize our profiles for some of these job roles, get international opportunities, work with people. Okay. Try out a few things like efficiency, note the time it takes for you to complete any project. And then, of course, as much as possible, most people don't work with people who don't have evidence of work. So you might want to look at having your portfolios, building your portfolios while you are learning. So that's another big thing you might want to do. So rather than just saying, oh, now we've been hearing about AI, and I think my workplace is really a challenge for me. I just want to stop working here. I just want to go full blown. You don't have to do that. Then, of course, for people who have some form of backbone or support from home, you might want to try that, because most times I've also realized that anytime you're starting anything new, total immersion always works. That means being able to put your head deep down, working with a coach, knowing exactly what you want from something can deliver results faster than when you're just nipping it in a board. Okay, so finally, leverage. This will bring us to our main conversation for today. As you know, I'm a monetization strategist, so this is where my energy is. Every other thing I've discussed before now is just basics, right? Just career agility. You should just know where you are right now, because there are a whole lot of changes. If you're a female, you know that there are lots of um different phases around you that can come at some of your plans. The goal is not to raise your hands up and say, oh, I've given up on my career. Is that you're going to actually start something else, start thinking of how to pivot, how to adopt, how to become flexible. So we talked about anticipate. So if you're younger female, maybe you're 16, 17 right now, you anticipate that there'll be phases in your life where there'll be that little pause. Okay, so what are the things that you might likely use? So that's why your goal is not just positional promotions or certifications, it is skill stacking. The word is having deliberate skills to solve a specific problem for companies, for clients, and many more. Okay, so we've talked about that. Then we're going to be talking about leveraging. Um, Maybe I should ask, let's all just react, because this is my main place right now. Every other thing you heard before now are just my basic meditations and how I get worried. And I know it might just be somebody else's what did you call it? Mindset, because definitely, except maybe nobody has been bothering so much about AI. But personally, I am worried, and the being worried is so that I come up with solutions, so that I am a part of the opportunities or solving the problem that AI seeks to answer. The beautiful thing is that at least we now know that there's a concept AI, but then is there a possibility that will be part of the forerunners before the peak of AI, and then whatever will happen afterwards? Somebody said there'll be a bloodbath. Yes, that people's money are literally going to bleed, because almost everybody is pushing money in that direction. But then I would say, let's look at the opportunity. Imagine that, okay, BAPMC is probably developing a tool, and then they request for funding, and all of a sudden they get literally 100% of it. And for the circle of that project, monies were brought in and people were helped, value was given. I think it makes sense that, of course, at time T, you were part of the solution of the entire world. And I think it's well, beautiful. So leveraging is our main topic for today. We said leveraging LinkedIn for opportunities. Now that we know that these are possibilities, I just wanted to keep career agility in our minds, because I noticed that there are whole lots of people who are super traditional. They are so traditional because they don't even want to believe that they can do anything else but those statutory, what's the word now? Statutory traditional settings. In fact, it happened to me as well. Even up to now, some of my friends and my colleagues, when they see me do what I do, they are like, what's the meaning of that? I'm a doctor and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm like, yes, please go ahead and do it. But then I've been able to also show us how shaky, if you hold on to career rigidity, what will happen in the next few years, in the next 5 years, in the next 15 years, in the next 50 years. So why not start leveraging and pivoting now? So basically, under leverage, we said it again, right? You need to pay attention to platforms where opportunities are. For me, I'm very big on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is super transactional. I don't want to say it in a negative way. I know most people don't like when people are transactional towards them. But I can say this, that LinkedIn is a platform where at least you're likely going to have ready buyers, because everybody who comes on LinkedIn come to solve a particular problem. And that is why leveraging LinkedIn will be something that can literally change your life forever. So I said it again, an agile professional needs to pay attention with network. And I think I loved what Andrea was saying earlier when she opened. She's somebody who is a networking person. There is no way a networking person can be broke. So just have it somewhere in your mind. If you network more often, you're likely going to find answers always in your cycle of influence. Then we're going to talk about briefly personal brands, but we're not just going to talk about personal brands, because another thing is a lot of people just tell people build your brand. And a lot of people get clueless when it comes to monetizing it, because most times their positioning is very weak, or the kind of brands that they were building were not probably brands that can have exchange for their money. So we're saying it again: networking, a monetizable personal brand, paying attention to your past experiences, right? And then digital platforms, which we have already said is uh, it's LinkedIn, at least for the purpose of our conversation. We now know that, right, there is no part of your journey that is wasted. That one, I said it exactly for me because that was what happened. All I needed to do was dig from 5 years old. I was literally almost giving birth to in the car during one of my mom's activities. Literally, like she, I was still pregnant. She was still pregnant with me while traveling. And so during one of those travels, she literally almost gave birth in the car because she was still paying attention to her business, right? So for me, that meant that I was baptized into something about money. Always, I don't know, I'm very good at those calculations, those ideations, those campaigns, monetization strategies, very, very good at it. So my low hanging fruit. So I'll say again, if you want to monetize on LinkedIn, the first thing you're going to do is pay attention to at least just one core skill, right? That you always have something. I'm going to say it again. You will always have something. It's just that sometimes you might not think that whatever you have is relevant enough. I've seen people who are lawyers who eventually went into public speaking. Then for people who are project managers who decided to um who probably spoke very well, right? That's what they do. They ended up monetizing that skill. So monetization essentially, or making money on platforms or building businesses, is not necessarily about having the whole package or the whole hierarchy that happens in workplace. Sometimes just one thing is enough. Just one thing. So you're at work and they're telling you don't have this certificate, you don't have this, you don't have this. But when it comes to monetizing, especially online and on LinkedIn, you just need to have one thing that you solve, you um so one challenge that you solve very easily, and you can literally make billions and millions from that. As simple as that. For me, I tell my community members as well, always make sure that whatever problem you want to solve, find the technological aspect of that problem and then monetize from there. That means if it's technology, you can make money repeatedly. You don't have to show up. You can develop systems that can ensure that money comes in consistently in that direction while you do other things. Okay. If you're having projects, of course, running up systems, sales page, and all that will help you still focus in your traditional work. All you have to do is to block a certain phase of your year and develop requisite products requisite sales page, requisite solutions, package them, set them up as a system on any platform of your choice while you maintain your work. The only thing you'll be noticing is that money will be coming in daily. And that was exactly what happened to me. I'm talking about during the Christmas seasons, the New Year when I didn't even bother. Literally, in fact, it seemed like there was a bell that was wrong somewhere. People were just buying, and it was not even ads. I didn't run ads. Then just imagine when you leverage, of course, partnership with any particular platform. Running ads is essentially partnership. I give you money, you bring my clients, they buy from me, I give you again, I run up a system. But then building a personal brand is non-negotiable. So I see a whole lot of people who want to make money on LinkedIn, but they've not developed a rhythm of posting online. It's going to be a very tough one. Very, very tough one because the basic concept of marketing, the know, like, and trust, know, like, and trust. Trust is hinged on consistency. More than knowing. Knowing is possible that you can post once a week and then you found a whole lot of people around you and they can see you at times, they know you, they like you. But then when it comes to the point of exchanging, people being able to leave something in your hand, you must make sure that you consistently build structures that are giving systems that are giving, I was ready for you, I was preparing for you. You didn't come to me by surprise. I've made consistent plans towards you. I love you. My customer service is impeccable. My email, my response, everything impeccable. So I've just given us the um, basic conversations right now. Okay. So I wish, maybe do we have any, okay, so I'll just go a bit away from here because I've given that story. Let me just take a little interruption here. Do we have any question that so that I want to be able to maybe speak to specific people. Let's say even if we have just one person who has a particular challenge, and then I will build every case study around that one person so that when the person leaves here, the person will literally know exactly what they want to do. So do we have any questions so far?
Now is your opportunity to speak up, folks. You have the coach in the house. If you're having challenges on LinkedIn on how to monetize your brand, you want to do some career leveraging, this is your opportunity.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
gonna jump in with
Okay.
yeah, with a question. It might be a little vague or broad, but I'm a person who's transitioning from one career field, and you mentioned low-hanging fruit. So I'm coming out of communication, so integrated marketing communications, and I'm interested in getting into the hospitality industry in any role that I can leverage with my transferable skills. So, how do you recommend I go about using LinkedIn or outside of LinkedIn to sort of expedite that transition?
Okay, that's very, very beautiful. So hospitality, can you give me a range of possible
Okay, so
um,
I'm thinking either tourism itself or hotels, because in the Bahamas, that's our number one industry. And I see that when I looked over my communications career, of all the things that I've done, what really attracted me or where my strength was stakeholder engagement, engaging with the different stakeholders on different projects and um, meeting them face to face, like that personable relationship, building rapport. So I thought about the hospitality industry, whether it's marketing or events management, and getting into that. So let's say hotels or tourism itself.
Okay, that's very beautiful. Well, if I was probably going to discuss this, when it comes to monetization, right? It's always not so great to start from passion when it comes to monetization. If it comes to building thought leadership, right? Okay, let me just maybe give us a few pillars for me. There are normally three pillars I use when working with people, right? There's a pillar of thought leadership, then building a monetizable personal brand or getting a job, right? Or building a business. Three, of course, getting a job or business, it's like a slash for me. Some people eventually build their businesses and are brought on other boards to work with people, but then business job together, thought leadership, and then building a monetizable personal brand. Okay, so this is it for me. If you want to build thought leadership, that means you're not essentially in a hurry to make money right now. You just want to enjoy yourself, tourism, going, taking videos, maybe hire a videographer following you around. You want to build a voice. Um, I mean, you want people to know you with hospitality. Your monetization might not happen super fast, but your transitioning will be perfect. For me, I always tell people, right, whatever it is you want to earn money from, do it for yourself first. So I already suggested some of the few things you might want to do. You might want to, if you have a very good device, or you might need to upgrade a whole lot of your devices. I'm talking about those bigger cameras, Sony and all that, then you might want to look at mapping your area, finding all the hospitality spots. It might start out with you going there, taking records, and then talking generally. Of course, you're already very good at marketing and communications, so you'll be able to move from one, map out. You can just say maybe over the month you visit 3 hotels every month. Your monetization might not come immediately, but then you're already building some form of thought leadership. You'll be top of the mind, right? When conversations around hospitality comes up, right? So now it's possible that those hotels or tourism sites might not even know that they need someone to market them. Of course, most of them do, right? Depending on how Bahamas is. For us in Nigeria, yes, some of my friends actually do what you talk about, but half of the time, those people feel like they're doing them a favor. So most times it's not really like they exchange the money. They might just say, okay, come and do a video here. We'll give you free food. You just talk about the food and all that. Then of course, as you build traction and you build your presence, you're likely going to have people from all over the world bring you on board to probably talk about their products or their food or their cuisines, depending on what niche you want to sit on. But you would definitely need to start talking about that. And I think it's not so hard from communications to tourism. It's literally almost seamless, almost, depending on how far you went when it came to your communication. So it's going to start from your profile, right? Well, like I said, I don't like going from passion to money most of the time. I like going from a problem. So if we map out, so if I was to probably work with you, it's like if we map out Bahamas and then we notice that, okay, what are the challenges that is common in tourism? Okay, so in the Bahamas, I'm just very interested in marketing and tourism. What are the basic challenges they have right now? We sit down, we'll map that out, we map out the pain points, then we go back to your skills. So I don't say, okay, I can communicate, therefore I'm going to flung it at people. No. Then I go back to my skills, then I measure them up. We find the ones that are relatable to solve those problems, and then we go from there. There are a whole lot of materials and lots of steps that I can take you on for that if you don't mind. But then this is just probably just baseline, maybe just giving you an idea of the work that you're going to do, but it's still going to be very seamless because it's almost, especially if you enjoy videos, it's going to be lovely already. So I don't know. I hope I answered at least a bit of it because I can't answer everything right now.
No, I like that because especially I wrote down not going from passion, but going back to sort of the drawing board and looking at the problems that exist and how my skills can meet those, sort of bring solutions. So I like that. That's a good
Okay, so
takeaway for me.
okay, beautiful. So maybe I should even just maybe add a little more flesh there so that every other person who is listening can just pay attention. So we see a problem, we want to solve them. I look into myself, what are the skills that I have, okay, if I don't have all the skills requisite or I just have one of the skills, can I give myself timelines of how to achieve some of the problems? That is where your certification comes in for places where they are very strict about it. But then, of course, another angle for certification is the creator mode. So it means that you can literally produce videos every single day around that skill or whatever it is till you have attention in your direction. Yes. Most times, people who are already certified, people like Andrea and a whole lot of people, when they come to your content, they can, all those, wow, this is lovely, all this, no, this is not right, and you do it consistently. Most times, some content creators can even do it for so many years. I think I saw a story of, what's that his name now? This guy that is oftentimes very mute on in fact, he doesn't talk on any of his videos. And recently, I think he sold his company for 600 900 900, was it $960 million? I'm not sure, but it's somewhere around there. But then it took him literally almost 10 years to get to that point where he decided, oh, he needed to monetize his audience. Well, for me, I'm not very big on that. I mean, why should I be playing on the internet for a whole 10 years before I decide what to do? But then, of course, he got to a point where he had so much attention, and I'm sure he was very smart when he saw opportunities. Maybe he met a monetizations person and then he saw an opportunity, and then there was some form of partnership and all that. So that's what we might want to look into. So I would advise that you find ways to, don't just, when you research, you start making videos, start announcing. It's a form of commitment. Remember the T. We said know, like, and trust. The trust is that more people will get to start knowing that, oh, this is what you want to do. Oh, this is what you want to do. But please make sure that there is that problem first off in Bahamas. Let's say there's a problem of maybe um, tourist sites trying to get people on board from all over the world. So you know that you have two goals, building attention and building presence. But you need to know that this is what they need right now so that you don't stay too long and then you get exhausted. So there are lots of people who would have started with the man I tried to discuss earlier, but they stopped by the way because there was no why, right? Or what it was not properly defined, or they were not answering people's questions. They were doing it for themselves. And then after a while, most times exhaustions, and that's why most businesses stop or New Year plans disappear. So, but I hope this was helpful. So I don't know. I saw someone else camera on. Is there anybody who wanted to ask any question before we dive deep into? Okay. So, okay, so I'll just follow the regular pattern that I normally have when I'm speaking with on any platform that I'm invited to. For me, this statement changed my life. I don't know how to explain it. I was always someone who was very anxious. I don't know, when I was growing up, something I don't know, I cannot explain what it was, but there was just a standard in my brain that always made me feel like I needed to, if I do it the first time, I had to get it right. Like I had to get it right the first time. So I was just a very anxious child. Give me the mic and I'm already shaking. I cannot explain it. I just wanted to make sure that the first time I got it, I tried, I got it. But this statement saved my life, right? Someone with half your IQ is making 10 times as you because they aren't smart enough to doubt themselves. This is usually where I start from when it comes to monetization, because a lot of people have all the barrage of skills, all the barrage of skill sets, but the problem is monetization. The problem is being paid for that knowledge or the skill that they have. The problem is also getting people to trust them to be repeat customers when necessary, or have that excellent offer, or decide on some of the problems that they need to solve. So I'm saying this now because this might save half of the people here. Please, whatever you have is enough. I tell my students all the time, right? Now, I've entered my element. Sorry, guys. I might come quite energetic now. The thing I've always told my students is this. literally, when it comes to monetization, all you need to do is to move somebody from A to B and tell them outrightly from the start, the word go, I am moving you from A to B, and then keeping that promise of moving someone from A to B is enough for monetization. Nothing special. Nothing special. Leveraging LinkedIn, you're talking about something over and over again. When it's time to make that offer, I'm making this offer because I want to move you from A to B, right? Now, when it comes to this, I'm sure that you know that impostor will be up and out. Normally, imposter syndrome comes to you or alerts you. For me, I see it as a signal. It just tells you that this is not something you normally do. Okay, so do something about it. Do something about it means you should do it over and over again for different batches of people. Keep records, document, tell stories around it over and over again. And then you're good, you're home and dry. Okay. So this okay. I'm not going to talk about my results and some of the people I worked with. I'm going to move very, very fast. Okay, so I had already talked about my story on how I was super anxious and everything around leadership and how I started my brand. So for me, the baseline brand, when we even started, I just knew, and I love Andrea what she did today. I just knew that people needed to rise, people need to get better, people just need to have multiple streams of income, people need to make money from home, people don't need to be trapped by any career path. Anyway, that's the generation we're in. And it's normally very hard for late bloomers to understand this or millennials. But trust me, Gen Zs, they don't they don't care. I think there's a statistics right now that came off saying that there are more millionaire Gen Zs compared in a whole of last generations. So it means that while we're still trying to question ourselves, irrespective of our ages, kids who don't even have some of the certificates that we're using to shortchange ourselves are literally making money off of some of these opportunities. So we're talking, I said it again when they introduced me, it was more of how we can build authority. Of course, you can't build authority without being visible. Then, of course, converting that visibility into money. And for me, this was the baseline. And then baseline is I'm a believer who believes that Jesus died so that men can rise, right? That's the name. That's the reason for the name of my brand as well. Phoenix, of course, we know that Phoenix is that mythical bird that that rises, you know, that it's actually a myth anyway, but that rises from the fire consistently. For me, pregnancy, marriage, was just one side of some of the pressures I went through, right? Or some of the fire that I went through because I was overtly an ambitious person. So if I say that I will not do the traditional rigid career, then something came in just beyond just having kids because I would literally drag my child to that hospital. I don't know I would do it, but then I would have done it. But then I also had some emotional challenges and breakdown, during those during some other phases of my life. I think the peak was 2024. And that's even the sole reason why I showed up on LinkedIn. And it was simple. Everybody who comes around me rises. Everybody who comes around me rises. And then of course, the next thing I had to do was pay attention to my low-hanging fruit. I had done several businesses where I made millions in a week. So it made sense that I would teach people what I knew and then leveraging LinkedIn. Like I said again, find the tech side of what you do. So I'm always very good at decoding tech relevant skills of any niche and then pivot it into money. That was exactly what I did. So that was what inferred the name. And then of course, one beautiful thing about naming your brand is that it helps for memorability. When you show up, people consistently know what you're here for. Okay, so I say it again, the power of brand. This is essentially, so we're already talking about subtle branding, even in monetization. Like I told you, the goal is building a monetizable personal brand. Nobody will like you and trust you if they cannot necessarily remember you. And part of memorability is finding a problem that you can solve, right? That is number one, just like what we just said right now. Finding a problem that you can solve, that people already have problems in with and are willing to pay for, right? Willing to pay for. ensuring that, so after we find that problem, okay, now I'm already going a little bit ahead of myself. When we find that problem, right, the question will be, why do people want to solve that particular problem? Okay, why? Why do I think that anybody would care if I told them that they were going to get better after they come across me? Because I felt discriminated at one point, or I lost a job, or I lost an opportunity, or I just felt like I was a failed leader. All this were my true experiences because something happened somewhere, and then a lot of conspiracies came up, and and it's almost affected my mental health. But then I told myself, rather than shrinking in and disappearing, how about being that person who would build a platform where literally everybody who comes around me goes up? And that was how in those 2 years, we're able to literally get 50,000 people. So you can, I'll explain all these things, right, to us. Just give me a moment. So that's why in those 2 years, we're able to have 50,000 people pass through us. We're able to train 5,000 people. We're able to have like hundreds to thousands of people join our bootcamp. It was one thing. It wasn't necessarily because I wanted to monetize at first. It was because I was hurt and my story was in keeping to some of the expressions a whole lot of people are going through. So I'm saying it now, more than just wanting to monetize, right, or build a personal brand, make sure that in that problem you want to solve, there's something in your DNA that connects to that problem you want to solve. It's going to give you longevity. And you know that when it comes to building a personal brand, longevity is a it's what's the word now? I would say longevity is an advantage. Yes, that's the word because most people you build more trust if you're doing something for the longest. So Andrea said these meetings have been on for 5 years. There's no way people wouldn't give her money consistently. In fact, if she calls for anything, any program, there's no way people will not pay if they know that, oh, it's Andrea. They won't be scared to pay ahead of time. So those are the things we need to be paying attention to. So I said again, for me, if there's one thing you need to do is you have the problem is the first thing. Okay, what problem do I want to solve? Then the question is, why do they want this problem solved for them? And how desperate are they to solve this problem? Because one of the things I've noticed again is, especially healthcare for us in Nigeria, because we're a very religious country, most people can literally see growths coming out of their head and they will keep praying until they go down. And when I'm saying down, I'm even trying to be cautious not to say death, but some people actually believe their way onto death because they don't want to have anything to do with the orthodox medicine, right? But then you want to make sure that whoever are your clients, they know that this pain they have or this problem that they have, the importance of solving that problem. Then the first final one is urgently, urgently. All those things determines how fast people buy from you. And I'm saying it because sometimes people don't even know how they need to solve, how urgently they need to solve their particular problems. So that is your job in your research, some of the programs, some of the things I'll take you through, right? Right now, of course, you're going to see how you'll be able to, okay, this is this person's pain points. Let me decode the why. So I'll be able to explain to the person why I think they need to solve this problem. So I said it again, a problem, their why, my why do I think I the right fit to solve their problems? And then is there any story around stories help for memorability, like I said again, helps for longevity so that you're able to serve people excellently and for the long haul, because that is where the main financial energy is, or money, I don't know, the whole crux of monetization, that's the word, is to be able to do something for the longest, for the long haul. Else, you just keep trying nibbing things. And, there's a scripture that says, a rolling stone gathers no mugs. My mom always said, used to quote that scripture when we were small, but now it's beginning to add up because I've just realized that the longer people have to solve the longer people know you to be solving a particular problem, and then of course, with you being very innovative about communicating your solutions, you're likely going to be trusted more than somebody who just shows up out of the blue. Okay, so we've started with the problem, right? Then from the problem, we were able to find out the why of the person. Um, why is this person not solving this problem? Why does this person want to urgently solve this problem? Then we talk about our why. And our why is because we want to know why we are the right fit to solve this problem for these people. And then it helps us solve the problem also for the long haul. Everything I'm discussing is essentially the Simon Sinek's golden circle. So the regular why, which is the core. It's been said that most people who don't sit down to study around their why and document, most times they're the ones who gas out in the long haul. You see them jumping from one, you know, career or one thing or the other, or one, you know, solutions to the other. Like I said, for me, I'm very forgiving when it comes to that, right? It doesn't really matter if you have to move, if provided you're seeking clarity. But the goal is, at least for the time that you are probably solving a particular problem, go to town. Go to town with it. Go to town with that problem. Literally hear your people hold conversations, like the people you're solving problems, make sure that you're solving outrightly, you're solving problems the right way for them. And for me, I would always say it's not even just about premium. Most times volume matters. So the more the number of people you solve problems for, the more you can develop a particular framework to literally get people out of that problem into solutions. The more you increase your efficiency, the more you inject AI tools to solve the problems even faster. So we've talked about problems again. We've talked about why. Okay, so we've talked about your why, your why, their why. That's the two sides. And then now we're going to be talking about, let me move. So this brand anchor is essentially being able to sit in your why and giving it a name. I gave my why a name, and that was where my brand name comes from. And trust me, I don't know how to explain it. Every time I see my brand name, every time I hear somebody call that name towards me, it evokes an emotion. I don't know, a memory that reminds me of why I started why I started what I'm currently doing. And then I don't know, everything about the name is so prophetic for me. And I think everyone should just explore that beyond just branding for branding's sake. Make sure that whatever name you're giving your personal brand or your avatar is something that would evoke a promise, promise of God's word or whatever it is for you at that time, T, and the problem that you're going to solve, either for the people you're solving the problem for or for a memory of you, why you started what um you are called to do. So sorry, give me a moment. These are all my results. I'm gonna move today. That's not really why we're here. So I'll put okay, so we're talking about personal brand, right? And then for me, I know basically, right, LinkedIn is the money platform for me beyond even the fact that I'm a monetization coach. Time to time, I've tried building my what did you call it? My presence on all other platforms. But the thing is, if you're starting out to build your personal brand, your goal is not overwhelm. Your goal is consistency, showing up at least at one platform and consistently. If you can maintain it, then you can add, you can also hire. Okay. It's possible to hire all across, but then you as a founder or you as somebody who is building thought leadership in a particular niche, you would want to focus your energy on one place because you also want to hear what your clients are saying. It's another thing to hire someone to handle your social media platforms and you're disconnected with the conversations of the people you're called to serve. That is a very dangerous place. For me, I love my comment section. I cannot even explain it. So even if I give someone to be in charge of my posting schedule, anything, I come back to my comment section because that is where sometimes when I post conversations that are very stimulating, you check the comment sections. I've had the book. In fact, the roadmap to LinkedIn monetization came from a question in the comment. And that's why maybe a lot of us are not having products or are not monetizing properly as well. We're not paying attention to the problems that our clients are consistently telling us daily. So I said again, LinkedIn is the largest professional platform and it's the easiest to build your brand at. I mean, it makes sense. Yes, I know that some people might want to double up to do videos and all that. I don't know about the demography for the Bahamas, but for Nigeria, most of the time, um, our videos don't do so well. So most people like to just read. And then most times, if you practice content brevity, one idea per day, you know, storytelling, several kinds of hook, the body, explanation, call to action, you're likely going to have people holding some form of conversation. Of course, paying attention to the community of people who are also building in that direction, right? That's essentially what can, of course, that this is essential. Everything I named was what you essentially need to show up consistently on LinkedIn. Another thing you might want to do is um, pay attention to your profile. Now, most of the profiles I see on LinkedIn are actually not monetizable profiles. Most profiles are just positioned for thought leadership. So you see conversations like head of this, VP this, founder, CEO, rah, rah, rah. Most people will not expect somebody who is already super big like that, maybe holding any extra conversations. I've seen them, people like Steve Burley and the rest, you just see they'll just write here to make someone happy. But they can only write that because they already have systems. By the time you check some of their platforms, you see that they're having almost 3 million followers on Instagram, on X, on this, on that. But you are somebody who's probably starting to build your personal brand online. You cannot follow their positioning, at least at this phase of your growth. So that's why you must make sure that you're crafting um your presence looks like something someone would want to partner with, depending on the level of monetization you want to do. Of course, like I said again, we talked about the three pillars, then there are levels of monetization. Let's see how far we can go. We're almost our time is almost up. So why LinkedIn? LinkedIn is very easy. You can do 2D. That means you can just write like 3 lines, 4 lines, put your picture and post. Nobody's gonna chase you anywhere. You don't have any form of pressure as you maintain your growth or you work with some of the amazing virtual assistants that we have here who are already having those ideas. That would be lovely. But the goal of posting first off is consistency, not necessarily traffic. Okay. For those who are building their thought leadership, your goal is not necessarily traffic. Your goal is to say, oh, I'm always here. Come here 8 a.m. every day. I'm always here. My post just goes live, whatever it is. I'm consistent. I'm building for the long haul. I'm here. So um that's basically the first goal. Then of course, as you grow and then and you understand your clients better, you're speaking directly to them, right? You can now start having traction because literally from most of your posts, you should be nibbing their emotions. I've had so many times where I went literally for my comment section to a fresh post for the next day. So for me, my batch creation happens every time I'm inspired. I can write like almost 10 to 20 posts at the same time and just bank them up. And then every one of those posts will have conversations of my clients. And most times you see them dancing around the comments because it resonates with them, other than just prompting randomly ChatGPT and then curate post and then you're just firing it live. I don't know. A lot of us are very have those dangerous habits. But please, the thing is, if you have not probably garnered the traffic you're looking for, you just want to make sure that even if it's one person, right, you're able to hold that person super closely. The person reacts, you go into your DMs, just say hello. You just want to find out how the person is doing, and then is there any particular reason why they reacted to that post? What about the post resonated? If they respond, fine. If they don't, you move on. But then it makes you try your possible best to humanize your conversations because like I said again, on the basics, nobody will buy from you except they've bought into you. I think that's John Maxwell, right? Then we've already talked about Simon Sinek's golden circle. I don't think we can go very far today. So Andrea, please, I hope you're close. If you think I've gotten to any point where you need to shut me out, even if now I can stop now. So because I love to talk, my goodness. I've had 5 hours class before. So
No,
I've not even
you're fine. You're fine. We're about 5 minutes before we need to conclude. But
Okay,
what you
okay.
can do, if you like, we can discuss you sharing your deck and I could send it to the attendees and they could finish following up. And if they have any questions, they could always connect with you on LinkedIn. But we can pause here, invite any questions that we may have from the attendees at this point. We also still have to take our photo, and I will be sharing the link for the Scrum Education units. So do we have any questions for Dr. Magnus? I know personally for me, I'm interested in hearing your success stories from your clients about how they were able to take your coaching on how to monetize LinkedIn to really advance their career or leverage their career. One of the questions that I have for you is, do I have to be a premier subscriber for LinkedIn in order for me to monetize LinkedIn?
No, no, you don't have to at all. You don't have to. Even premium has different levels. If you do the basic premium, you might just have just four emails, which might not, I don't know, I don't think that is something very significant, except maybe you do the highest, which is the one for usually business owners. But I think um LinkedIn just wants people to be present. I don't know how to explain this. Even those premiums don't go so far. And the whole goal of gating the premium is so that you don't actually just barge into people's DMs at free will, which is where the conversation is, which is where the money is. So, well, if you can afford, just do the highest level. Anybody who is here, if you can afford, do the highest level premium, but it's still basically, I think, just 16. That means you actually have to be intentional before you send any email, and you should be sure that the person, at least, what I normally would do is I would check the person's last conversations. If the person is around LinkedIn, you go to comments, click on comments, and see when was the last time he commented. That means if I sent him an email, he's likely going to respond because he's generally somewhat around. But most of those big players, if you'd want someone, maybe VC funding, partnership, you just need to get their mails because most of them might not show up or they have handlers. So those are the two things. But then
Yes.
premium can go at least can go some way, but not all the way.
Yeah, so thanks so much for answering my question. I just want to agree with everything that you said and to tell you that some of the things that you advise us about, I actually put into practice. And I know that persons here also put that into practice about building your brand, your personal brand, and also your professional brand, because those two brands tend to be different, but they can connect in some instances. And what you said about being consistent in your posting and having those messages that are authentic to yourself and what you represent and portraying your why. And I've seen that be very powerful on LinkedIn in that I made up my mind that I would not seek out speaking engagements. And I've stopped responding to call for speakers. And in fact, my brand has established itself so much on LinkedIn that persons are messaging me and asking me to speak at events and conferences. And I was like, wow, LinkedIn is a very powerful platform, but you have to work it, right? So like every tool, LinkedIn is just a tool, AI is just tools. So it's all about working it. And I always say, a fool with a tool is still a fool. So you have to, have that professional coaching, get with professionals like Dr. Magnus, who has a proven track record. She's not only helping persons in Nigeria, she's helping professionals around the world. She's here communicating with us, a community based in the Bahamas. So that goes to show you that we have connections through LinkedIn, because that's how we connected through LinkedIn, that is bringing valuable content to not only our community, but to everyone around the world. And they're sharing their expertise on how they have implemented these strategies. These are proven strategies. She's telling you she used to be in the field of medicine as a doctor and she stopped practicing medicine and now she's doing this LinkedIn monetization as a full-time job. So if she can leave medicine and do just what she's doing as a LinkedIn monetization coach, then it has to be working, right? So I encourage you to reach out to Dr. Magnus. We will share all of her contact information, her LinkedIn platform, and you can reach out to her, find out about her coaching plans and how she can assist you with building your brand and helping you to discover your voice and your identity. So Dr. Magnus, before you leave, we will take a quick photo, and I want to share with you on behalf of the BAPMC, we have a certificate of appreciation because it's not easy for you to be up at 1:30 in the morning to be able to present with such energy and clarity and passion. So we appreciate you taking the time out to be here with us, to share your knowledge. And you now know that you are a member of BAPMC, and we know that we can call upon you to help us grow our community. And whenever we have events in the Bahamas, we will be sending you an invitation to come on down and rub shoulders with us and get to know us in person. But we truly appreciate you taking the time so early in the morning in Nigeria to share the valuable content and knowledge that you did. And we appreciate you. We'll be sharing this certificate on social media and tagging you because there's power in LinkedIn. And before we leave, can I ask everyone who's in attendance at this, our first meetup of the year, if you would kindly come on camera so we could take a quick screenshot for our social media posts. Hi, Kenny. And if you don't want to come on camera, that's fine. We'll take a snapshot of your name. And I will do this at the count of 3. I know some person's still turning on cameras. Hi, Simone. Good to see all of you. Okay, I didn't count to 3, but I did take a screenshot. All right, thank you so much, everyone. I did drop the link for the Scrum Education units in the chat. The professional development units are self-reported. If you need assistance on how to record your professional development units for this session, please reach out to myself or anyone on the team so that you can get your credits for your continuing education. And Dr. Magnus, I'm going to give you the final minute to say your closing words.
Okay, beautiful. I just want to say thank you for bringing me on board. I'm always excited, and you can always call me at any point. Hopefully, I'll stay awake. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me. I celebrate you.
All right, thank you all for being here. See you again in February. Our February session is already online, so you can register for that. And we will see you on the last Thursday in February. Thank you all so much, and good night.